Okay, this is my policy persuasive speech, and here are my people. So just pass the laptop. Just pass it. He doesn't count. Okay, let's see. Make sure the volume's up. Okay, you can start. Okay. Do you remember your school lunches, what your school lunches looked like in elementary through high school? Were they nutritious? Did they offer a variety of fruit and veggie options? For me, the answer to those last two questions was no. The food in my schools was not nutritious, nor did they offer fruit and vegetable options. The government should mandate that school lunches and vending machines should provide more nutritious options, as well as cut back on the quantity of processed food due to an increase in the number of childhood diabetes, type 2 diabetes. In my speech, I'm going to discuss the issue that school lunches have now, today with the foods in our cafeterias, the advantages to changing, what we could do to make this change, and the prevalence of childhood diabetes. School lunches are comprised of basically processed foods, all processed foods. What you get has been frozen and reheated, which in turn has a lot of sodium and a lot of saturated fat in it. Because of this, we're seeing an increase in numbers of type 2 diabetes in children. The government needs to mandate that school lunches are homemade and comply by a set nutritional guideline. Michelle Obama made a push to combat these unhealthy school lunches at her time of being a First Lady. The government, however, rolled this back recently with the new administration. Some lunches have almost 2,000 milligrams of sodium and more saturated fat than any child should have in one day. This increases childhood risk for cancer, diabetes, heart disease, and several other problems. So why are we giving children this food, and why are we giving anyone this food? Because it's inexpensive and it makes it easy. And we are all about inexpensive and easy. The Agriculture Secretary appointed by President Donald Trump, Sonny Perdue, announced a rollback of school lunch standards championed by the former First Lady, declaring that the administration would make school lunches great again. Because of this, the USDA will now let states grant exemptions regarding whole grain standards for the 2017-2018 school year. Along with this, sodium reductions put in place by the Obama administration will be postponed for at least 2 to 3 years. Michelle Obama's Let's Move campaign required schools to abide by the Department of Agriculture's My Plate guidelines. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the My Plate, but it's a plate divided into two sections, 2/4, 1/8, and a side for dairy. 2 of the 4ths are comprised of grains and veggies, while the other 8ths are fruit and proteins with, again, the side of dairy. We can make these changes by hiring more individuals for meal prep. If we're hiring more people to start earlier, then we can have them make the lunches rather than reheat them. There's no shortage of people looking for jobs in America, so I think that this would be easy. Another thing that we could run into as an issue is where are we going to find this money? And I think what we should look at as important here is the health of our youth. And I think that because of this, we can make cuts elsewhere to make this available for our children. Okay. According to the ADA, the American Diabetes Association, until 10 years ago, type 2 diabetes accounted for less than 3% of new onset diabetes in children and adolescents. Now the number is 45%. 45% of new cases are childhood diabetes, this being because of what children are eating and the lack of exercise. So it's quite alarming that we are taking back the strides that we made to combat this problem. We can improve the health of our youth by mandating these healthy lunches. We can also do things such as buying locally and doing things such as school gardens, where kids can go out and participate in the creation of their healthy meals. In conclusion, it's important to know that education is key. Take this information that I have provided you with today and talk about it. Go to your friends, go to your family, and talk about it, because if we're talking about it with each other, then more people are going to know. Take action. The more people who know how large the issue is, the more people will be motivated to make a change. Think about your children and future children. Do you want them to grow up surrounded by healthy influence? I know that I would like my children to be surrounded by healthy influences. So I think, in short, we should make a policy that mandates healthy lunches rather than moving in steps backwards. My sources include pcrm.org, carediabetesjournals.org, choosemyplate.gov, and npr.org.